it's not one thing. I wanted to create a change in a way. I wanted to move people and to try to bring into the awareness of the Israeli public how much the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is more complicated than the Israelis understand and know, and how much it is vital for the survival of the state of Israel to try. I'm putting the emphasis on to try to solve the problem. I'm not saying that, and they're not saying, they're more important than me. The heads of the Shin Bet are saying that it is achievable, that this is viable, but they are definitely saying that there is a partner in the other side, and that partner should be dealt with, should be talked to in a serious manner, not like the current Israeli government is doing, and that it is within the best interest of Israel to try to solve that problem for the means survival of the state of Israel. I chose them because if there is an organization in the Israeli horizon who understand the Israeli-Palestinian conflict better than anybody else, these are the men that walked in the alleys of the refugee camps, and they know the conflict from, as they say, from the bottom of the sewerage in the refugee camps. They understand the Palestinian people better than anybody else. They understand, by the way, also the Jewish terror and the sources of that. They have been with the Prime Minister. The only person that the head of Shin Bet answers to is the Prime Minister of Israel. They have been in the rooms with the decision maker, and they can give a very precise and accurate account of how they see as a professional. You know, if I was sick, I had problem with my leg, you know, the knee was broken, I will not go to an optometrician or to a dentist. I would go to an orthopedic surgeon in order to solve that. This is what I did. I went to the most specialist of the specialists to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the heads of the Shin Bet. The Shin Bet, because its constant hold on the ground, understands that nothing good can come to the state of Israel from maintaining that conflict. And it is within the best interest of Israel to try to reach a solution. I'm not saying that it is viable to reach a solution, but to try honestly to reach a solution. When you see what is happening to the Israeli public, to the Israeli youngsters, to what is happening in the region towards Israel, the animosity that is only growing amongst the Palestinian civilians, amongst the regional, and when you see what happened internationally to the image of Israel, to how much hatred, how much shaming you see towards Israel, you understand that this is the best interest of Israel to try to solve it. And this is what they say. You know, they came to that conclusion from holding this conflict on the ground and seeing it from its worst ever sites that can be seen. They are professionals. They, you know, a head of Shin Bet is a professional. He's not a chosen. It's been appointed by the Prime Minister. So in what way should they steer the Israeli society? The politicians have been elected to create what they want to create for the future of the state of Israel, not the head of the Shin Bet. The head of the Shin Bet is a professional person who acts professionally to do what he needs to do as a head of Shin Bet, to stop violence, stop terror, blah, 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 all the tasks of the organizations. But they have a special and unique, I would say, part in the Israeli society. When they speak, people listen, some of them. And I hope that The Gatekeeper, the movie, will create that kind of shift or that kind of movement to understand that it is within the best interest of Israel to move towards peace. Look, I believe in very long interviews. I believe every interview that I did with them was at least 4 hours, at least. And I think that, you know, an interview is an art form, I think, by itself. And when you speak to someone, you are doing it as well now with me. You are interviewing me. I think there is kind of a relationship that are getting built in the beginning. Always I say to my people that the first hour of an interview, never there is good things in the first hour of the interview. After that, you know, those walls are starting to go down. It's more a conversation. I was really interested. Look, it's rare that someone has the opportunity to interview people at that magnitude who sat in those places and took those decisions. For me, it was a revelation and a very interesting thing. Every day that I went there, I was very happy. I was really interested in the stories that they told me. I was really interested in the stories about those rooms where I wish I could have been in the Prime Minister office where those decisions have been made. And they felt that. They felt that I'm not there. I am now interviewing them and giving them an opportunity to speak, but I'm there also to let them speak or say what they wanted to say. They interviewed me in the beginning in order to understand where do I stand and what do I say. And they didn't know, but they understood what I'm trying to say. And they understood that I'm trying to tell the story of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict from their point of view. If there was something that was very important for me from the beginning, is not to twist what they said, not to cherry pick what they said, not to take it out of context, because as a director you can do that very easily. You can take one sentence from here, one sentence from that, and it was imperative for me not to do that. So of course they are, and I can say to you, up until today, 6 months after they have seen the film few times, all 6 of them stand firmly behind the message and the content of the film. And this is something that the Israeli society has to take into account and understand and think thoroughly about it. Everything that you do in a movie is conscious. Nothing comes from subconscious. You think very thoroughly, especially me. I dwell with myself hours and hours, sometimes hundreds of hours, about every move that I do in a movie. So definitely it's conscious. And definitely one of my goals in that movie is not to portray them only as the professionals, but to portray them as also human beings who are tackled with this kind of life and death decision. This is how the film opens. The Gatekeeper opens with the question of, which is an amazing question of Yuval Diskin is asking, when you know that there is a car, and in that car there is a terrorist that have inflicted a lot of pain on you, killed a lot of innocent people, and you know that there is 2 people in the car with him, and you don't know if they're civilian or part of his gang. What do you do? And I think that those kind of moral questions that they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis during the course of their term as the head of the Shin Bet, and where they came from and what they are feeling as human beings, was very important for me also to convey to the public and to the viewers, to understand their personalities of why those people are like they are. The world today likes to think in a black and white terms. This is black, wrong, this is white, right. And I think that if there is something that I learned about this conflict, that it's different shades of gray. There is very, very dark gray, which is close to the black, and there is very, very light gray, which is close to the white. But you cannot say this is wrong completely and this is right completely. And I think this was my aim from the beginning, that the viewer will ask themselves the same moral question that those people has to tackle on a day-to-day basis. And if I manage to do that, then it was intentionally done.